The markets are going to boom, the stock is going to boom, the country is going to boom.
Well, an optimistic message today from President Trump, despite a sharply negative reaction on Wall Street the day after the president announced sweeping new tariffs. Thanks for joining us. I'm David Molko.
And I'm Christine Pitawanich. Let's take a look at the numbers. It was the largest single-day drop since the early days of the pandemic, with an estimated $2 trillion in market value wiped out. The Dow fell nearly 1,700 points. That is an almost 4% drop. The tech-heavy NASDAQ down nearly 6%, and the S&P also crushed by the sell-off with a nearly 5% drop.
Just brutal. Now, many of the countries targeted by the tariffs are wasting no time retaliating today. Canada's prime minister announcing matching tariffs of 25% on most U.S. auto imports, at least those not covered by carve-outs.
We take these measures reluctantly, and we take them in ways that it's intended and will cause maximum impact in the United States and minimum impact here in Canada.
This conversation happening all over the world tonight. Many people are wondering how this is going to impact the cost of everyday things, groceries, clothing, you name it, on top of the impact on investments and retirement accounts.
Our Tim Gordon spoke to a financial expert today. Tim, what kind of advice did you get?
Well, Christine, the first thing this financial planner says is don't panic. And if you do look at your investments and see you've lost a lot today, keep in mind it is one day. The big market dive is certainly not easy to take, and it may take a while to rebuild the retirement savings you've been building. But the fact is, over time, 401ks and other investment methods offer a solid return. It is important to have a diverse portfolio, most often through mutual funds, that includes international investments. That way you're not beholden only to U.S. economy issues. You should also consider the level of risk you're comfortable with and lower the risk level as you get closer to retirement. This is all advice from Linda Carroll, who helps people with their financial investments. She explains it's a little like taking a trip on a plane. There can be turbulence that's uncomfortable, but it is survivable, and you should reach your retirement destination as long as you don't jump.
I think the biggest thing, what we talk to our clients a lot about is, just kind of, take a breath, right? This is the markets really just trying to sort through this new information and figure out how to move forward.
There is still plenty of uncertainty, no doubt, about what tomorrow, even the next weeks or months will bring. If you have questions or concerns, check in with a financial advisor. They can hopefully reassure you and suggest some changes to your plan and portfolio, if that helps. Christine, David?
Yeah, a lot of uncertainty. We should mention Dow and S&P futures down just a fraction of percent for tomorrow. Thanks, Tim. Appreciate it.
In an update tonight, a Hillsboro father is facing a long recovery after investigators say a group of teenagers shot him Monday night while his young son was in the car.
John Adams is live near the scene near Cornell and 17th. John, you talked to the victim's stepdaughter. First of all, how's he doing?
Well, David and Christine, he is still in the hospital right now and has undergone multiple surgeries, including one earlier today. His family still coming to grips with this senseless act of violence. Dominique Holman says her family's lives are forever changed after her stepfather, who goes by T, was shot multiple times Monday night. He had stopped for gas at this Arco station on the way to pick up food for the family when he was yelled at by a group of teens.
Sure enough, then all happened very quickly, and then they just started shooting at him.
The suspects ran away while strangers came to help T, who was bleeding on the ground. His 3-year-old son still in the car.
The whole time he was just telling them, is my son okay? Is my son okay? Where's my son?
Jim Ruiz with Hillsboro Police told us the teens were arrested 2 hours later.
It was a significant search that used up quite a bit of resources, including multiple canine teams, drones.
The 3 juveniles have been charged with attempted murder and assault in the first degree.
Any act of violence is concerning. I think anytime juveniles have a firearm, especially concerning.
Holman says her stepfather has already undergone multiple surgeries on his lower body, but he is conscious and expected to survive.
It'll be a really long recovery. He'll probably need intensive rehab and then physical therapy.
His family now facing an uncertain future and questioning why this happened in the first place.
Stuff like this has to stop. There's just too much hate in the world and not enough love. And people don't deserve this. This shouldn't happen to people.
Well, Holman told me her stepfather was the sole provider in their family, and he didn't have health insurance, making the situation even more difficult for this family. David and Christine, back to you.
Hey, John Adams in Hillsboro tonight. Thank you, John.
In your headlines, a local massage therapist has been arrested and charged with multiple counts of sex abuse. And investigators think there could be more victims. Detectives say 2 women allege a therapist named Lucas touched them inappropriately at the Fly Dream Massage on Southeast Woodstock last year. A third person made similar allegations about a massage they received from the same man in Washington County. Police identified Lucas as 59-year-old Feng Chen of Portland and arrested him this week in McMinnville.
Well, 2 women have been convicted on charges stemming from last spring's protests on the Portland State campus. The pro-Palestinian protests brought parts of the campus to a standstill after a group broke into and occupied the library there. At one point, protesters formed a human chain to prevent a police van with people who'd already been arrested inside from leaving a parking garage. Danielle Monk and Samira Jensen were arrested and later charged with criminal trespass. A jury convicted Jensen in January, and this week a judge convicted Monk in a bench trial. Both were sentenced to probation and community service.
University of Oregon officials confirmed the Department of Homeland Security has revoked an international student's visa on the Eugene campus. Recently, several international students at other universities have voiced pro-Palestinian sentiments, then been arrested and detained. But in this case, a U of O spokesperson said they haven't been given a reason, but were told it relates to unspecified criminal charges. Students whose visas are revoked typically have 15 days to leave the country. U of O is not naming the student for privacy reasons.
And in Harney County, officials are telling people and pets to stay away from floodwaters near Burns after they detected E. coli. Anyone who must go into the water is being told to wear rubber boots, waders, and gloves and to decontaminate afterwards. Officials stress the drinking water supply is safe. However, they say the sewer system in Burns is overwhelmed, with crews working around the clock. Meantime, work to reinforce a key dike is now going on ahead of another forecast rise in the river level from warming temperatures. Matt?
Yeah, the cool weather of late, the last few days, has really slowed down the additional water being put into the Sylvies River and the flooding, but it is going to warm up for the next few days, so I'm sure it's going to be an issue for days to come. You can see out of the coast right now, it's just beautiful, not a cloud in the sky. 50 degrees in Lincoln City. Up in the Cascades, still a few clouds in the sky. Not that many. Still cold, 34 degrees up there. And you know what? Some of the valley locations will drop to 34 degrees tomorrow morning, and that's the reason why we've got a frost advisory up for much of western Oregon. In fact, the central southern valley, all of it, the Coast Range valleys, some of the Cascade valleys, Hood River Valley, and up in southwest Washington. You know where there's not a frost advisory? For Portland and Vancouver, because of the urban heat island effect. So if you have a garden out and you're in one of the close-in neighborhoods, you should be okay. If you live in more of the rural areas, then you might want to protect those young plants if they're out. So frosty night and morning, but warm days ahead. Listen to how warm it'll be Friday and Saturday, and then the rain comes back Sunday. We'll time that out too, guys.
Thank you so much, Matt.
We're following up tonight on a local FedEx worker who is recovering from significant injuries after she was mauled by a dog on her way to work.
I was thinking, I don't want to lose my leg, and I want someone to help me.
Giovanni Johnson spoke to us over the phone about being attacked in the Hollywood district last Thursday. She has had 3 surgeries to try and save one of her legs. Her situation had us asking who will be held legally responsible.
Celine Stevens is live in Northeast Portland. So, Celine, what'd you find out?
David, Christine, well, like you said, Giovanni Johnson was here last week in Northeast Portland, walking across the street to her job at FedEx when she was attacked by a pit bull that she says was owned by a homeless woman. So the attorney I spoke with today said one of the most important things to do in situations like this is to document everything. Alexander Cambier with Kafori and McDougal says having a record of the dog being dangerous is crucial, especially to build a criminal case against the owner. The county says they are looking to classify the dog that attacked Johnson as a dangerous dog. If it is and it becomes property of Animal Services, it will either be euthanized or put in a dangerous animal facility, which the county says doesn't exist in the region. According to Portland Fire and Rescue, they have responded to 145 animal bite incidents from January 2024 to now. Cambier says if the owner was homeless, a civil case may not be worth it, but for a criminal one, showing the dog had a past and the owner never took action is what's needed to build a case.
Whether the person is unhoused or owns a house, because you want to get that record started. And even if the first incident isn't necessarily serious, creates a record that person was on notice that their dog was dangerous, and can make it easier for the authorities to act in the future if the dog is dangerous or aggressive.
The county confirmed that the dog is still in Animal Services custody and it's still alive and under a 10-day quarantine. The county also said that they're still awaiting contact with the owner regarding the notice of infraction. David, Christine.
Appreciate you looking into what people can do. Thank you, Celine.